Good morning, I am Pete, also known as RiskForRewards, and we are back, and Cheltenham is here. I know most of you are thinking Cheltenham is not here, but Cheltenham is not only here this weekend, but it is also here ready for March now. The reason I say that is because now is the time to really get stuck in. This weekend we're looking at Copec de Boards, Marine Nationale, John Bon, what else we've got? Final Demand, possibly Brighter Days Ahead, the Yellow Clay. The wraps are coming off. We saw Elite Thompson, Spindlebury last weekend, and now a lot of the big names are all coming out. So now is the time that we really start looking at both March and obviously the weekend with all the big names. The reason I've come on here today is just to let you know and show you a little bit around the website. The website is up and running. I still get messages about people asking, when is it going to start? It is started. You can look on my profile on Twitter. It's pinned. I've also pinned the link in the bottom of this YouTube video. I'm going to keep this as short as possible just to give you a fire through of what you would get if you're a member, and for some members who still may struggle to navigate around the website. First things first, you're straight in the private Twitter group. So the private Twitter group is a group exclusively for members only. I put the majority of the selections on there, which allows people who are busy, they can just put their selections on and then they can look back on the weekend. So for example, I might put one up on Thursday afternoon, declarations come in, I'm like, right, that's 12 to 1. And then hopefully by the time you check in on Saturday morning, if you're not someone who follows religiously all the racing, you might check in on Saturday morning and hopefully it's 6 to 1. It just means you don't have to think about it, you don't have to do anything, and you don't miss anything. But generally, a lot of the content will go on the website. So this is the website, obviously for people who don't wear. You can scroll down here. The profits and losses are all here. It's all transparent. Click it. It's an Excel spreadsheet. You can click and go and have a look and see what you want to see. If anyone's got any questions, drop me a message on Twitter or drop me a message through the website and I'm happy to respond. I say obviously like a day's worth, but I will probably get back to you within 20 minutes, I'd say. Right, so let's have a little look around. So if I click here, I'm going to show you something which is obviously a fair bit in the past now because it's not fair to members to be sharing anything that's current. So we go to my account. Here's the dashboard menu. Obviously this is the Ante-post Cheltenham piece, so you can go through and flick through. This is normally a much better layout across, but because I've had to put myself in the top corner of the screen so you know I'm a real person and not a robot talking, this is not spread across the screen. This is more like how you'd see it on your mobile phone. And so obviously this is the Ante-post for Cheltenham, this is the Cheltenham for the main week, this is the profit and loss. The thing that you're interested in, so if anyone's just going day to day, is you want to click the blog posts. So here are the most recent blog posts. Again, I'm just going to extend this out. Apologies, I am disappearing. So we extend this out, and obviously as you can see, this is the review from last week, the preview of last week. This is Ante-post early thoughts. So this was pretty much every race that's on Odds Checker for Cheltenham. I went through and I've gone through and given my early thoughts on all the Cheltenham Festival. This was my thoughts on the Willie Mullins stable tour of what his comments implied. Preview obviously of Cheltenham. So we're going to go right back to the start because I want to give you the information that's not gone, but right, so we'll go to the preview of Chepstow and Newmarket because this is done and there's no Ante-post selections. So this is the sort of content that I provide. Obviously we're not looking at the flat, but there's a little bit of statistics, there's information on each runner in the race. This is a view of the Ante-post if you want to play any 1,000 guineas, obviously talking about precise for the 1,000 guineas. And then obviously this is the selection. So here's the Persian War. This is the kind of information that I wrote on the race. So a little bit on each horse running in the race. My view, my opinion. This is my summary, and then the selection. Obviously, it's easy to show you this one because obviously it's a winner, and it looks like I'm just showing you because it's a winner. But that was just obviously by default. So that was a winning selection, but it's just showing you. So that was only 3 races, and the reason why that was is because that was the early look at. That. Oh look, we've spread out now, so right, you can see it properly. So blog posts, we go back to blog posts. I'll go back to the same page again. I'm showing you the oldest data because obviously it's not fair on people. So preview of the Saturday and Sunday. So this is the sort of information you'll get. So I'll put a blog up and it will provide all the information. You obviously got the private Twitter, and then you'll have the selections and a shortlist. So as you can see there's a few winners on the day there. It was a profitable weekend. Celtic Dino also won, but also as you go through you can see I'm not just writing names. I'm explaining to you exactly why I'm playing these horses, some statistics to why I've come to that conclusion, and I'm not just covering one horse. I'm covering every single runner, or at least a good few of the runners in the race, and obviously hopefully it provides you towards a winner. But if the horse loses, you kind of understand, okay, it lost because obviously he said this, or who's the likely danger in the race. So I'm not just banging up any sort of information there. So we go back to that, and then obviously like this is the latest blog post. So last night this was the review of the last 7 days of horse racing. Let me see if I can bring myself back in. There we are. Here I am. I'm back. So this review here was the last 7 days of horse racing. So within that, there's a review of all the horses that I believe are Cheltenham bound or Cheltenham contenders or big race contenders. They go into 3 different colours. Red is horses to avoid. Green are horses that I believe you should be following for the rest of the season. It might not be for Cheltenham, but you should follow next time out. And blue horses are horses that could potentially be Ante-post or are Ante-post. So within this review, there were 2 Ante-post selections. Sometimes I already know exactly which horses to put up, and I'll put them up straight away. If the prices aren't moving, I might wait until the review. And then other horses, when I start doing the review, I think, oh, hang on a minute, I've missed that one. And that's why I do the review, both for myself and obviously to share to people. So within this, there was 2 Ante-post selections for Cheltenham in March. One was 20 to 1 and the other was 5 to 1. You could get 6s in some places. And then the other side of it was also a further selection for the weekend. So, and then as we go further back through here, like obviously you can see this was my preview for last weekend. So Aintree, Wincanton, Exeter. And I also not only cover the selections, but I also say this horse could be aimed at I don't know, the Champion Hurdle or the Arkle. So the reason why I'm coming here today is because now is a brilliant time for the horse racing to really begin, and I don't think there's really going to be a better time because I'm about to sit down now. The time is 10:12 on Wednesday, and over the next 2 days I'll be putting blogs up for the Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The Friday will obviously be Cheltenham only. The Saturday and Sunday will be Cheltenham and Navan. As I've just discussed, at Cheltenham, there's not too many horses running that will be focused predominantly on the festival. Some will be festival, like horses like John Bon, as I mentioned. But there's also, over at Navan, we've got Final Demand, we've got Brighter Days Ahead, the Yellow Clay, Cobec de Boards. I'm going to discuss, should you be getting those on board before the weekend? Do I think they're going to win, etc., etc.? So they'll all be covered in 3 individual blogs. You've seen the amount of data and information. I try to keep it as precise as possible, as simple as possible, and as easy as possible for people. It is an awful lot of work I do put into all of these, which is why I don't do very much social media throughout the 6 months of the jumps, because my full focus is providing as much as I can on the website. Like the review that I did last night was over 4,000 words. Last week there was only 2 days of racing. It was still 5,000 words worth of content. So I'd imagine there is going to be an awful lot of content. But when I say that, it's not in a boring way. I'll have the stats there. I'll have short summaries. So if you've got zero interest, you can just go to the short list and be like, right, bang, 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 bang. But it also points out, like, say for an example, right, oh, Final Demand. How does he think he's going to get on the weekend? Who's he racing against? Where will he go in March? Is it worth putting a bet on him before the weekend, etc., etc.? Or for a day like today, I may say, right, okay, Derry Hassan Paddy runs today. Is it worth backing him before the Brown Advisory? So all I'm trying to do is give you all the information to make the decisions. There's no point watching a horse. I know I'm using Final Demand as an example, but it's a complete example because it's obviously topical. But say he wins by half the track and suddenly his price halves, there's no point then going, oh, I really want to back him for Cheltenham, and looking around and thinking, oh, well, I expected him to win that race at 1 to 6 anyway, and now he's halved in price. Like, do I want to back him then? And then suddenly you're on the side of, with a lot of people, where they're like, oh, well, I don't want to back him at that price, it's too short. And then he wins again and wins again. And suddenly March rolls around, you're looking at a horse sent off 1 to 3. You're like, well, I should have just took the 5 to 1 or whatever. Obviously, everything is hypothetical and examples, but I'm just here to share, obviously, the information. And like I say, this could not be any simpler. Any questions, just drop me a message. Everything's on the website. And I'm not really good at a salesman. I'm not here to, you either want it or you don't. But if you've got any questions, drop me a message. I'm not going to be doing this regularly. I'm not going to come on here and say this is my profit and loss and stuff. We've been going, obviously, we had 3 weekends last month and 2 weekends this month. I think last month we ended over 15 points in profit, something like that, and we're a few points in profit this month. Obviously, I could come on here in a week's time and we could have had 3 days of Cheltenham. That could be another 20 points of profit, but of course we'd be 20 points behind. So that's why I'm not going to do this regularly, because there's no requirement for it. All I'm here to say is the website is open. It's as simple as you like. Drop me a message if you have any questions. Some people will obviously be here just for the private Twitter because they want the simple life, just bang selection. So any questions, drop me a message. Good luck for the festival. Good luck for this weekend. I will be there on Friday. So if anyone's there, you see me walking around, come up, say hello. I'll be there with Racing Lee, having a couple of beers during the day. So come and say hello. Good luck for the season, and thank you very much for listening.